that. So we don't have a lot of time. It's 30 minutes, kind of a big topic. So we're going to move pretty quickly through this. There's a technical part of the presentation that Andrew's going to cover. So we're going to go fast. So just feel free to ask us after, email us, whatever, because there's quite a bit of information there. So just to get started, how many people in the audience work for companies who've specifically decided not to participate in Google for Jobs? Just one? A couple, okay, cool. Second question, is anybody from Google here? Adam? There was one person around before. Oh, there you go. How's it going, Adam? Hopefully most of the stuff will be right. I don't know, you can tell me later. Okay, so why are we up here and not Google? So if you've done the conference circuit like I have over the years, you know that Google doesn't really like to talk about search. They don't really talk much about Google for Jobs. It's just not kind of what they do. So kind of stuck with us for the next 30 minutes. But really, why us? A lot of you guys probably have never heard of us. We're Aspen Tech Labs. We scrape and manage jobs data. We have a job board product and a career center product, but for the most part, we scrape and manage jobs data for about 10,000 companies a day globally. About 11 million jobs. A bunch of you guys are our customers. Hopefully, I'm sure some of you know us, but that's what we do. So it's a lot of jobs data that we move around every day. And Louise knows we know a little bit about Google for Jobs. So also, in addition to those 10,000 career sites, we also manage about 300 career sites for some of our customers who are here and some who aren't, about 300 career sites. And we flow those jobs into the Google for Jobs platform. And we watch it pretty closely. So some of the data that you'll see is real Google for Jobs data, which most people aren't willing to show, but we're happy to show some of it. And then just as a quick aside, I've got a friend who's a senior person at Google. And so I called him and said, I just have a couple questions, nothing too big, but can you answer a couple questions? It's really hard to get a lot of information. So I made some notes here. I just want to make sure I got it right when I talk to him. Sorry. What's happening with Google for Jobs? That's what I asked him. What's happening? Why did you do Google for Jobs? So the answer really was, Mike, we want people to continue to use Google for search, for everything they do. We don't want them to use Amazon, which is not for jobs, but for other stuff, or other options out there. So jobs is one area where people come to Google to start their search. Before Google for Jobs, this is what my friend was telling me, the search experience was broken. Just had a whole bunch of search results. Most of them were Indeed. It was confusing for the candidates. It wasn't a good experience. So Google for Jobs now organizes the job search results and improves the visitor experience. That's what it does. He also told me that we like the companies are involved. So companies have to, he used the term add a line of code, which Andrew will show you is not really adding a line of code. There's some more things to it than that. But companies have to be involved, and candidates are involved. They're both involved in the Google for Jobs process, and we like that. Second question, do you plan to monetize Google for Jobs? And the answer was, Mike, I can't answer that. So not a big surprise there, really because I don't know. But what he said was, I haven't been involved in any meetings that people have been talking about, how are we going to make money from Google for Jobs? And a couple other insights. So he said, again, our business is based on search. Google for Jobs is a better search experience, blah, blah, blah. I said that. And then the third question I asked, I know I just had a few questions. Why did you abandon Google Hire? Why did Google abandon Google Hire? And what he said to me was, Mike, I don't know what Google Hire is. So, and the point that I'm making there is that we all think, or some people worry about, Google's, it's anti-competitive or, what. And then the other question I asked him was, I know you have a large organization. How many people work specifically for Google for Jobs in your 700-person organization? 0. So, again, we kind of worry about this and we think about, what's Google doing, what's happening, and I tend to believe my friend. They're improving the search experience, and we're going to show you a little bit about that. We all know it doesn't drive a ton of traffic. We've all seen stats on that. but we're seeing high click-through rates, high apply rates from the data that we have. So, we're not really advocating for Google for Jobs, but we just have kind of a unique perspective that we wanted to share some information with you guys. Lastly, we're going to make sure we have enough time. It's just 30 minutes, but we want a few people to speak up and tell us about their experience with Google for Jobs. You guys can hear from a few other people, and I've actually asked a few people to tell us a few things, so it's not just us. Okay, Andrew, next slide. So these are just the 4 things we're going to cover in the next 15 minutes. What's Google for Jobs? It's more than just a schema, some Google for Jobs data examples, and some other insights. Okay, go ahead. So for those of you, most everyone probably knows what Google for Jobs is, but this is what it is. So you search, what do we got up there? Software engineer, job Chicago. You get these are 2 slides, but you get one slide where you can pick, and then you'll see you've got choices. The candidate has choices where they can apply. That's really the big difference versus the gray bar search results that used to come up. Okay, so that's Google for Jobs. Andrew's going to take care of the technical part of it, so I know there's a lot of salespeople out here. You guys can check your messages, do whatever you want, but we'll come back to you at the end.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be there and meet all of you. So yeah, I'll cover a little bit technical details, and today I would like to speak about Kaizen approach to getting into Google for Jobs inclusion. Kaizen is one continuous improvement of processes you do to get to perfection. And Google for Jobs is there for around 2 years already, and a lot of details already described there, specifically like what to include, how to include, etc. There are 3 main elements. First one is to get HTML markup properly set up on just job pages. Secondly is creation of sitemap XML file and submission of that file to indexing. And then software should be properly handling expired jobs. Specifically, remove markup, remove links from expired jobs from that sitemap XML. So getting to those 6 apply buttons Mike shown is similar to getting top 10 search results on a regular Google web search. Similarly, the same. There is a lot of guesswork in this process. We don't know exactly what are the ranking factors, but we can guess. And what we think now is that most important ones are site rank and the schema markup accuracy, and the sitemap and freshness of jobs data themselves. Then secondary, but still very important, and I'll show later why they are important, are job location and salary details on specific jobs, and then site speed, specifically for mobile. So it's hard to read, sorry for that, but most of the jobs are either jobs near me or have location keyword inside search query. So 9 out of 10 searches include location data. That's what candidates search, and everything is about candidate in Google for Jobs. So also 80% for many sites, for some it's 60%, are coming from mobile devices. So all geolocation features, all mobile optimized stuff should be there. And you should specify not just city level, but postcode or street address. And then people search for simple titles, right, in most cases. So use common job titles and maybe even use normalization of job titles if you see your employers post something strange. Do that on maybe a job posting form or maybe when import runs. So there are ways to do it in software. And specify salary, as on some previous presentation was mentioned. That's a key element of job details, information candidates are looking for. Then have you seen some odd apply buttons, like for example, apply on just careers, nothing about company, about the employer itself? It's pretty easy to fix. You have to specify page title in a way that there is a company, and there are examples how to do it correctly. Otherwise, Google indexer will take information from some strange places like anchor tags or something else. And next one is you see the trend of remote jobs interest over time. And it also has been mentioned previously today that trend is growing. And it's so important that earlier this year, Google for Jobs introduced a special tag there. So make sure your software has this. And just like for web search results, Google for Jobs also likes fresh content. We did an analysis and we see that majority of sites who have their apply button showing up on job details, those jobs are posted within like 2 weeks. So make sure you are one of the first to get jobs data, to update sitemap, submit for indexing, and for all jobs that are they're live for like 100 days or something, refresh those jobs. Next is indexing of your jobs data, and there are actually 2 ways. First one is, we call it passive, that's where we just create sitemap and submit it for indexing. Include link, include last modification date there, and that's the most common way. But for bigger sites, when there are hundreds of updates daily, maybe new jobs posted, maybe expired jobs or updated, you should consider using indexing API. That's when you can actually control which jobs are to be pushed first, and that's pretty important to optimize your indexing and get faster to Google for Jobs. So you'll also want to track performance and how jobs are marked. What's the like HTML markup? Is that correct? So there is a structured data tool for this, and you can see actually if you have any errors or warnings there or missing data. Then do you know that you can see already stats of your visitors coming from Google for Jobs in analytics, and there is nothing to do about it, just automatically activated also earlier this year. So it's just go to sources report and you'll see traffic coming from Google for Jobs. And the biggest one and the most important is Search Console. It's the place where you can track indexing of your jobs, site speed, apply button position, and many more. So for example, on this graph, you can see impressions and average position and click-through ratio. And on other panels, you can see that those are the segments you can look into more details. Like, for example, for mobile devices, you can see stats, or for job listings or job details separately. So that's a way to see keywords candidates use to get into to get jobs where your apply button is showing up. And what are the stats for mobile devices or desktop devices? And that's actually about real stats of a job board, when you can see real life situation that there's no fully perfect job posting, right, with all details about that. Sometimes locations missing, sometimes salary, and on this example there are like quite a lot of warnings in Google Search Console. But still, on the right chart, you see that performance is quite good and traffic is strong. So my point is there, don't be stressed if you get errors or warnings in Search Console. Errors are not that good, but warnings are not a big problem. So don't be stressed about it. And probably my last advice there is that use that Kaizen methodology and update your software, update your jobs data, make it quick, and that's the way to get the best out of Google for Jobs.
So we want to show you some real numbers, some test results. So like I said, we power about 300 sites, career sites, and there's some that we do just kind of for test market purposes. So we did some large companies, and we ran them for, I don't know, 6 months or something like that. And then we just picked the results in the week ending November 2nd. Okay, so we aren't LinkedIn, we're not Ladders, we're not any of the big guys. We don't have any status with Google. We scrape their jobs, we populate a career site, we follow all the methodology that we were using, pushing them to Google, and these are the results we got. So the clicks to view are, that means that they showed up on one of the 6 choices and someone clicked on it. So this is in a week, Amazon got 3,000 clicks to view and they got 1,182 clicks to apply. So that's what we were saying before, it's a high click to view ratio. Someone is already on Google, they're an active job searcher. They put in a search term, they get 6 results, they click on it. Most of those people are applying through. A lot of them are applying through. You guys know the stats from your boards, they're not that high. So in 1 week, just from I think it's 11 sites or something, there were 5,000 clicks to apply on the apply side, and then the kind of total test market we had that. So people are using Google for Jobs. People are clicking through. People are applying. Just take that for what it's worth. So quick summary. We think Google for Jobs is here to stay. It improves the search experience. I think they're going to get better over time. A lot of people say, oh, they're really bad at returning search results. I type in engineer in Cologne, Germany, and it shows me a massage therapist. Okay, maybe that's true. But do you think in a year they're still going to be doing that? I don't think so. So I think they're going to be doing a better job matching results to search terms, and I think they're going to continue to enhance the user experience. So now I'm kind of speculating a little bit. It's kind of at the end, but one thing I think that they'll probably do if they're really serious about the search experience, I think they might follow through. What happens to a candidate? Do they have to click on Jubal and Nuvu and 3 other places before they get to Amazon? If they do, maybe they're not going to show those search results. I don't know. But if they care about the search experience, we can certainly do it, and we're tiny. So I think they could certainly do that if they wanted to. So there's something there that we should all kind of keep an eye on. It isn't a black box. So there's a lot in the forums, what Andrew gave you. I mean, we do a ton of research, we read forums and everything. It's not really a black box. There's some simple rules you can follow, and it'll increase your chances. And then just kind of my last point is, remember what Google did for Indeed, not what Indeed did to all of us, right? So Google, in my opinion, kind of created Indeed. Indeed did a better job showing jobs and having access to jobs than Google could do themselves. So they gave them all the first, second, third, fourth search results. And look where Indeed is now. They're not here either, I don't think. But they're the big guys in the industry. So I really think that if you're not, aside from some specific reasons that I'm sure you guys have that are good, you'll get some good clicks, you'll get some good candidate flow from Google for Jobs. So I want to open up to the audience. We've got 5 more minutes. And I talked to Martin from Jobico, where are you, Martin? And he had a couple of points that I thought you guys might want to hear. And after that, we can call on a few more people.
Thanks, Mike. Can you hear me? Yeah. So thanks a lot. So a lot of our experience kind of gets along with what you said. So we power mainly job boards. And we have a lot of conversations where job board owners are concerned about Google. And we power job boards in 12 markets from the US to Europe in 12 different countries. And so far, we did not see a big disruption. So over the past two and a half years, there was no big disruption. What is interesting, there's 2 points I want to mention. The one thing is, I think you had it, it was a bullet on your slide. Branding becomes or still is very important, because if you look at the Google search box and the way you can apply, you always have to select which job board you want to apply to. So people tend to apply on those job boards they trust or they know the brand. And a lot of times it happens that they know the big brands, so that you kind of have a self-fulfilling prophecy that the big brands become bigger and bigger because people click on it, and Google tracks the conversions and gives them a better ranking. So branding was important before Google and is still important now. So branding is very important. Second thing is, we see in each market, we see that Google gets us very high quality traffic when it comes to Google Apply traffic. So the click-through rates are very high, and even that the total number of Google for Jobs source, in the channel mix, the number of people clicking via Google is not that high. It makes a high number of applications on the site. So we have a customer that has like 3 to 4% Google for Job clicks, but it makes 25% of their applications. So it really gets you the applications, and in the end, the customers of the job boards, and we had this conversation today in the morning at the presentations, they want to have good candidates. So I think that's why Google gives some relevance here, and you should look at it because it gets you applications. In the end, when you get the candidates, it's up to the job board again to re-engage the people.
Okay, thanks. We probably have time for maybe one or two more points, or it doesn't have to be a question because I don't know that we have any great answers, but maybe some points. Go ahead. Can you introduce yourself before you speak to?
Hi, it's Yasser Hatomi from Gulf Talent. We're a job board. So we've seen that when the same job is posted on multiple sites, for example, an employer is directing traffic from multiple job sites, they all appear on Google for Jobs, and the order in which they appear varies, but most of the time it's alphabetical, or quite often it's alphabetical, which suggests the job site that starts with an A gets the most amount of traffic because it's appearing first before all the others. I was wondering if you've seen this trend, and has it been evolving, or what other trends you've seen, the way the multiple job boards posting the same job are listed?
No, I haven't seen this actually, about like is it filtering, but we do see based on like clicks, as mentioned earlier in the presentation and the previous question, and as well as job freshness. Probably those are the two most important ones we spotted.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that internally. So but we'll take a look, and if we see something, we'll let you know. But we haven't noticed it. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm from a Polish job board, OLX. I've got one question to you, actually, because you mentioned the factors in the ranking, and is being a company site versus a job board an important factor? So what we've heard before is that if there's a link to your own website directly, it ranks usually higher than a link to a job board. Is that still true?
Yeah, that's what I would expect as one of the next step how it grows, and that's pretty natural for candidates to see that as the first options. For now, we've seen very random stuff. So, for example, sometimes it's number 1 or 3 or not showing up at all. And what we definitely know is that each job separately ranked. So if there are, let's say, 100 jobs, it doesn't mean that a career site is always number 3 or number 1. Each job will have its own ranking. That's what we see. No, I wouldn't say it's the first all the time. It's for now, it's hard to predict which one is that. So clicks probably the reason for that.
Okay.
Do you think it's different in different regions? So do you think it works differently in the States because they've had it longer than in the UK market or some of the newer markets?
Interesting question. We haven't checked this, but considering the same applies for regular web search, different regions have different results. Absolutely, it can be.
I mean, my experience, as I've been looking at it, in answer to your question, was when you look at it in the States, I feel like there's more employers that come up first. Now, I don't know whether that's because more employers have now adopted it and are using the schemas more prevalently than they are in the UK. And so that just naturally happens the more people that actually index their jobs. That shifts more to an employer focus because they've cottoned on that that's good for them to do it themselves. I don't know. But certainly you see more job boards come up first in the UK market. From the small samples that I've done, I mean, I don't have the data that you do, but just an interesting insight that I've seen.
I mean, I would think that a candidate would want to apply directly on the career site, but the more I think about it, I'm not sure, because if they're already registered on ZipRecruiter or they're already registered on your site or whatever, it's easier for them to click that site because then they can maybe get an easy apply or some type of a quick apply that everybody's working on. So, I tend to think that the candidate experience would be cleaner that way, but really maybe it's not. So we'll have to watch and see.
And it comes back to what Martin was saying, your brand awareness and your relationship with your candidate and making sure you've got good facilities, that they're registering with you and making it easy for them to apply means that they'll hopefully make the choice of going to the job board than the corporate.
Yep.
Yeah, and consider mostly are mobile, right? So if people have profile on some of big sites and they just click apply on mobile and it's done.
Because they don't have the resume on the mobile device,
Yep.
right? So they don't usually. So that's a good point. Okay.
We've got one time for one more question. Anybody else?
Good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Andrew.